In this instructional video, students will be given examples of division problems and how to use the partial quotient strategy to solve the equation. In the 4th grade, students should be able to divide up to a 4-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor. Students should be able to recognize division as repeated subtraction and as the reciprocal of multiplication. Miss Burnett has 80 pencils. She has 5 tables in her classroom, and she wants each table to have the same number of pencils. How many pencils will Miss Burnett have at each table? Well, the equation for this would be 80 pencils divided by 5 tables. Now, Miss Burnett could take 1 pencil each and just distribute that amongst each table, but is that efficient? Efficiency is when we use a strategy that helps us solve a problem more accurately and quickly. Now, I know that there's 5 tables. Miss Burnett could take 10 pencils and distribute them to the 5 tables, and that would look like this: 10 pencils, 10, 10, 10, and 10. If she distributes 10 pencils to each table, she starts with 80, and then she distributes 50, she has 30 left. So she could then do them in groups of 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And then she would take those 30 pencils minus the 25 that she's just distributed. She has 5 left. So now she knows that she could put 1 in each group. And each table would have a total of 16 pencils. The way that this looks when we are solving it using the partial quotient strategy is 80 divided by 5. Again, we could start with 10, putting 10 pencils at each table. 10 times 5 is 50. We're subtracting those 50 pencils from the original 80 pencils to get us 30 pencils. Then we could put 5 pencils at each table. 5 times 5 is 25. So then I have 5 pencils left over. I know I could do 1 pencil at each table because 1 times 5 is 5. And then I have no pencils remaining. When I add up the numbers on the side, 10 plus 5 plus 1 equals 16. So each table will have 16 pencils. Kelsey has 94 pieces of candy. She wants to split the candy evenly with her sister. How many pieces of candy do each of them get? Well, since it's Kelsey and her sister, we are dividing by 2. So it's 94 divided by 2. Now, the 2 sisters could split the candy 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 until they get to the 94 pieces of candy, but that's not efficient. The sisters could start by grouping the candy into groups of 20 for each of them. 20 times 2 is 40. There's 54 pieces of candy left over. They could do it in groups of 20 again, giving 20 pieces of candy to each sister, so that there were, again, 40 pieces of candy. There's 14 pieces of candy left over. Each sister would then get 7 pieces, and there's no pieces of candy left over. So then each sister would get 47 pieces of candy. Danielle has 272 crayons. She wants to sort the crayons into 4 different tubs. How many crayons will go in each tub? So our equation is 272 divided by 4 equals x. Whenever we set that up in partial quotients, it looks just like this. Now I want to think, how can I divide efficiently? How many groups could I group the crayons in to put them into each tub to be efficient? Well, I want you to keep in mind, if you know that 4 times 5 is 20, you know that 4 times 50 is 200. 272 minus 200 equals 72. So she's distributed 200 crayons. She has 72 left over that she needs to continue to distribute. I know that 4 times 12 is 48, so Danielle could group the crayons into groups of 12 into the 4 tubs, and then she would have 24 crayons left over. And then she would take the 6 crayons, and put them in each of the 4 tubs. And after that, she would have no crayons left over. So in each tub, she would have 68 crayons. There are 2,268 students at Hayes Elementary. There are 7 different grade levels. How many students are there in each grade? Well, our equation is 2,268 divided by 7 equals x, with x being the unknown. Now, when we are working with a 4-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor, I want to think what I could multiply times 7 to get closest to that 4-digit dividend without going over. So essentially, how many groups could I multiply by 7 to get close to 2,268? Now, if you know your multiplication facts, you know that 7 times 3 is 21. So you know that 7 times 300 is 2,100. When we subtract that, we have 168. 20 times 7 is 140. When we subtract 168 minus 140, we have 28. Then I know that 7 times 4 is 28. So the number of students that we have in each grade level is 300 plus 20 plus 4, which is 324 students in each grade level.